One, two, one, two. One, two, one, two. What's up? What's up? What's up? Where we at? Here we go, people. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm here. Where you at? Where you at? That's what we say in New Orleans. Where you at? Every week I seem to have a song on my head that kind of becomes my, I guess, introduction. One week I did some Michael Jackson and Jackson 5. And another week I did It's All the Way Alive. This week, for whatever reason, you guys remember Billy Preston? That's what I got in my head. I got some Billy Preston. Will it go round in circles? I got a song, ain't got no melody. I'm gonna sing it with my friends. Will it go round in circles? Will it fly high like a bird up in the sky? Anyway, that's the way I feel today. We're going around in circles, and where it's going, nobody knows. So anyway, I've changed tonight's show. I've changed the direction of tonight's show about 11 times. So you're going to get what you get tonight. I'm trying not to be as emotional as I was last week, but for a couple reasons, I felt like it was necessary. A, it's a sign of the time. B, how could you not be moved by all of the madness that's going on? The two kind of go hand in hand, the madness and the anger and the confusion. So I'm going to sit here for just a second and survey as you guys come on. How you doing, lady? Long time no see, no hear. I was just thinking about you. There's so much craziness going on. I just feel like Billy. I got a song, ain't got no melody. Will it go around in circles? So the only good thing about a circle is that for 360 degrees, you get something different. The only bad thing about it, when you travel 360 degrees, you wind up right back from when you started. And I think that's where we are. And that's kind of like the theme for tonight. We're talking about some of the things, and I try to give you a historical perspective on what's happening and why it's relevant so that we can recognize what's happening. And supposedly it's to give you a sense of calm, but it doesn't always work that way, because even knowing where we've come from, even recognizing this place and time, knowing that we've been here before, common sense says that we would have learned something from it. But my mom's always say, common sense ain't common. If it was, people wouldn't do some of the foolish things they did. So there you have it. My mom's and philosophizing. I used to tease my mom, and one time I went to her and I said, "Mom," she says, "What?" I said, "Mom." She said, "What, boy?" I said, "Mama." She says, "What? Stop calling my name." I said, "Ain't your name. Your name ain't mine. Your name is Clark." She said, "What, boy, if you don't get out here with this foolishness." I said, "Mom, can I ask you a question?" She said, "What?" I said, "Is your middle name Jesus?" She said, "Boy, what kind of foolishness you done come up with now?" I said, "I was just wondering, because you speak in parables." And I got up and I walked out the kitchen, and she just shook her head and she said, "Lord have mercy. I don't know where they get you from." And this woman had this way of dropping these intellectual time bombs in your consciousness. And at the time, it wouldn't make sense. But then there would be a point in your life when it would be just the answer to the question that was in front of you. So that was my mom, man. I had a piece that was published in an anthology of black male writers. And in the piece, I gave homage to my mother, and I said my mom was a quintessential philosopher. Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates needed my mom's old test to pass Philosophy 101. So if you talk to me for more than 10 minutes, you're going to hear me say my mama said. So the thing that my mom said tonight is if common sense was common, people wouldn't do some of the silly things they do. And that's just kind of par for the course tonight. Um, we're going to talk about a couple things tonight. And I promise you, I am not going to do the Baptist preach week. I say I'm going to get you in and get you out. And I wind up sitting here and getting carried away. And it's just a sign of where we are, people. So bear with me. I am as emotional as all of you put together because when I'm doing well, I want to see others do well as well. I want to see others do better. I don't want to have to worry about my children and your children and my friends and my family. And in my consciousness, in my heart of hearts, everybody in New Orleans is related to me because they're New Orleanian. Everybody I went to school with is related to me because we were classmates, we were Carverites, and so forth and so on. So unfortunately, here I go giving a shit about things when it's not my chance to give a shit again. So if I get carried away, I apologize on the front end, but I'm gonna try to get in and get out. Usually I try to pick 3 or 4 subjects. Tonight I'm gonna just try to talk about 2 things and I'm gonna get in, get out. I'm gonna tell you what I gotta tell you. I'm gonna tell you what I gotta tell you, and then I'm gonna tell you what I told you. I wanna say it's 2 minutes past the half hour, and I see a couple people in here. Yes, I am here, and I see some of you are as well. I see some people coming back I haven't seen in a while. Um, and I usually don't do shout outs, but um, hey, Miss, you can always be Miss Condall to me, so Miss Great, whatever. Um, People come into your life, and for whatever reason, they help to shape your consciousness, and for that, I'm um, I'm eternally grateful. I tell people I'm confident. I tell people that I am who I am because so many people invested in me. You know, I come from, and one of the reasons I consider people from New Orleans like family is because um, New Orleans, when I grew up, was the village that made me who I am today. And when I run into those people, when I talk to those people, it's not like we've been separated for years and Sundays. It's like we saw each other yesterday. So with that, I'm gonna get my emotions off my sleeve, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get started. I want to say good evening and welcome to the show. As always, I always start off my show by saying, I am truly humbled that each and every Thursday, all of the things you could be doing, you choose to be here with me, listening to what I have to say and trying to break these things down for you. My name is Hank Batiste. I know you know it by now, but if it's your first time watching the show, my name is Hank Batiste. My show is called Omit the Logic. This shit makes no sense. I'm your host tonight, and the voices in my head are in a state of shock and disbelief. Um, After going to Atlanta and seeing two of my great, two of my granddaughters graduate from high school, I was on a high, and seriously, I'm still recuperating because I just went all out. I hadn't seen some of my children, my grandchildren, for more than 2 years with all of the COVID, Corona, and all of these mutations. So it felt so good getting the chance. to be with that family that I overdid it. But that's my personality. I don't have do anything. Anything I do, I overdo. So I'm still my sleep habits are haywire. But then I come back to mass murders and school massacres and people being murdered in supermarkets and doctors' offices and I come back to attend a doctor's appointment at the VA and there's a cold black because some disgruntled vet is standing in the parking lot firing rounds and contemplating and threatening to commit suicide. And I said, at what point, even in the wild, wild west, there seems like there was more. Okay, let me get back. It just seems like for whatever reason, nowadays there is no let's talk about it. Somebody brings up a gun and bada boom, bada bang, people die. So tonight we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about um, what I just said. Where do we go from here? This sad state of affairs where we are as a country, and then we're going to talk about something that I think is related because I always look at cause and effects. I always look at if I can figure out what the problem is, and this is the engineer, this methodical thinking of mine. If I can figure out what the problem is, then I can figure out a solution for said problem or issue, whatever the case may be. So that took me to last weekend was Memorial Weekend. So I'm wearing my one of my Marine Corps T-shirts, and usually I when I wear this, I wear my dog tags as well. But I decided not to wear my dog tags because um, part of the problem is America has never wanted to recognize us. America is, and I'll refer to it a little bit later in the talk, but America is, all of us have had relationships where unfortunately we love someone more than that person loved us back. And that has been the love hate relationship of we, people of color, with America. And I say we, people of color, because, like I say, I have so many, I'm gumbo. I am gumbo. I got red, I got black, I got, you name it, I got it in me. So it's hard for me to feel animosity towards someone based strictly on their ethnicity, their race, or their skin color. So in my family, we don't play the color game. We don't, we tell many jokes. But one joke we don't never say is we don't tell mama so black jokes. We don't play that, you know. We don't play mama so white jokes. We don't play that because I have every hue of the rainbow in my family. And one of the problems that America has is not wanting to give homage to people of color for the contributions that they have made to make America as great as she is. So tonight we're going to talk about that. Where do we go from here in this conundrum of loving America, the woman who doesn't love me back? My name is Hank Batiste. This is Omit the Logic. This shit makes no sense, but we're going to try to make sense of it. So let's make it make sense. Let's do this. First up, um, high school graduations. May the 21st, denoted or was a celebration of me graduating high school from George Washington Carver 45 years ago, May the 21st. And unfortunately, one of the things that I had to contend with, I went to see my granddaughters graduate, and one of my granddaughters actually graduated on that day, May the 21st. I talked to some of my classmates. I look at what happened at George Washington Carver in New Orleans, and there was this melee. There was people throwing chairs, and fights broke out. And the only good thing that I could say about it is it didn't culminate in gunplay. I just don't understand. And let me take that back. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. I don't understand the audacity. I don't understand how people can take things from social media to real life. And I always say Facebook is for entertainment purposes only. Whether you're moved, um, whether you get a laugh, whether you're educated, is you're being entertained. People that you see on social media, with the exception of me, don't really live that way. And I say that and I make jokes about it because I don't post a lot of what I do. I didn't post where I was until after I had gone and came back from it. So these day by day, minute by minute, social medias, I'm so great, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. I understand it, especially during the time of COVID when we were all trapped in an existence called hibernation or quarantine. But what I can understand is how grown-ups who are supposed to be setting an example choose a high school generation, a high school graduation, and I say it's a Freudian slip because they should supposed to be showing a younger generation how to behave. They're supposed to be showing their kids and their grandkids proper decorum on how to behave in public. Another thing my mom's friends, another thing my school teachers, and I had two teachers at Carver that were like mothers. One was Miss Condor, the other one was Edna Moore. And Miss Moore used to say, "Now, Baptiste, you and those little girls." I said, "I know, Miss Moore." She said, "Baptiste, they just want to leave you alone." I said, "I know, huh, Miss Moore." So she made jokes about it. And then I had this crazy woman who taught me music. And I say crazy because, in a lot of ways, she was so serious about teaching music that she didn't play. If you did not learn the part, I caught more whippings in the band room, and I only got one. I only got one. She hit me two times with a frat paddle. They call it the board of motivation. I call it the board of education, a motivational education. Because after that one time, this little bit 5'2" woman, it made me understand that these people at the George Washington Carver that I attended, they cared about us. We had a little vice principal, had a hump in his back, Mr. Hoover. And Mr. Hoover, every year he was a reverend, and every year he would come back, whatever the popular movie was, and he would try to implement that or interject that and somehow how he motivated us. And I never had a run-in with Mr. Hoover. I don't know, maybe he liked me. But he came back one year after Superfly and he says, "Good evening, or good morning, Carverites." You don't want to be like Freddie because you know Freddie's dead. I'm like, what? Mr. Hoover, really? So I just wonder how, and let me fix it now. Because there were four different Carvers. There were four different educational programs at Carver. There was a college prep program, there was a regular high school curriculum program, there was a vocational school, and there was a technical school. But in those four different programs, all of the kids excelled. Some of my friends left there with a vocational trade in auto mechanics. Some of them left with a technical trade in heating and air conditioning or whatever. And they did extremely well. They had very fruitful and productive lives. So I wonder, where did we as a society, and my family that I call New Orleans, and I understand how I studied government, I studied public policy. And one of the things that public policy does is it teaches you about how policy is developed. It teaches you how there are different stakeholders vying for a limited number of cookies or resources. I say cookies in a cookie jar because that's a simple analogy everybody can understand. In public policy, one of the things, and I'm certified as a city manager, and I understand how one of the things that we try to do is we try to get as much money for the city as we can. But unfortunately, somewhere in the last 30 years, what has happened, and maybe a little bit longer, 30, 35 years, what has happened is all of the urban areas became prime real estate. And all of those people that abandoned the city, moved into the suburbs, got tired of driving 45 minutes to an hour. And suddenly they wanted to move back into the city. And the game is simple. We allow the city to fall on bad times. We allow these black and Puerto Rican and Hispanic and white neighborhoods as well, because not all white people are well to do. Truth be told, 10% of our population is actually wealthy. 10%. The other 90% of us are scrambling for our piece of cookie. Some of us are a little bit more blessed and we actually get a whole cookie. Others are struggling to get crumbs. So we use things like drugs, alcoholism. We use things like people cannot find job, hopelessness, homelessness, and so forth and so on to drive neighborhoods down until the occupants that have anything going for them, any cookies, abandon those neighborhoods. And all that's left is the people that have nowhere else to go. And then they have this magic thing I call that transforms the neighborhood. It's called a bike path. When you look at a downtrodden hood, ghetto, and you see the introduction of a bike path, what you start to see within a couple months is what they call urban pioneers. In good old American fashion, young white kids and young white families that can't afford to buy in ritzy neighborhoods, they move into these downtrodden neighborhoods. Huh. And when they do, we see police patrols go up. Suddenly, this neighborhood that was so enthralled in crime, so crime ridden, that you could not walk from your house 2 doors down to the grocery store, you see young families pushing baby carriages and dogs 10:30 after midnight. And you say, whoa, they don't know no better. No, you don't know no better. Because the cops are looking out for them. And then we use words to define it. It's called gentrification. Now, once they get in, the property values start to go up. The taxes start to go up. A lot of these people are young professionals. They've gone to law school, they've gone to med school, and they're not making a lot of money right now. So this is their starter home. This is the only thing that they could afford with school loans. So now they get grants and what have you to buy these homes, and they get police protection. So it's a plan. They call it revitalization. We call it gentrification. But suddenly the people that once lived there can no longer afford to live there anymore. And I see that happening in New Orleans. And I see it happening in Harlem, and I see it happening in Brooklyn, and I see it happening in DC, and I saw it happening a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, where there were once projects in the Fourth Ward, and now all of these high-rise apartments and condos. Well, once upon a time, those high-rise apartments were brand new projects. So the process is in 10 years, 15 years, after those people move out of those starter homes, that's going to become affordable living, affordable housing. And then crime comes back. So I said all of that to say this. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. If everybody knows what I'm already talking about, why do you fall for the okie doke? Why do you fall for the banana in your tailpipe? Why do you not take control of your own neighborhood and not let it become this crime-ridden thing? Because I lived in a desire housing project. My mom said, and this is my mama, she says, 1 week you want to be Muhammad Ali, the next week you want to be Bruce Lee, the week after that you want to be Larry Graham, the week after that you want to be Fred Wesley. All of that stuff takes money. This is the only place where I can give you money so that you can pursue those interests. So we're going to move down there. And this is her exact word, so I'm just giving you a disclaimer. We're about to use the N word. She said, don't you get down there with them niggas and act a fool, because you got to deal with me. See, we don't have those kind of mamas anymore. If I came home, I told you about washing cars for Fillmore Slim. I told you about doing some of these things. And I told you that I couldn't take this money home because to my mom, that was ill-gotten gains. So I had to take the money home a little at a time. But if my mama would have heard, she kicked my brother out because my brother went to Vietnam and came back calling himself Abdullah. And within a few months, he declared his association with the Black Panthers. And he said, Mama, the revolution will not be televised. Mama, you don't understand. White man is blind hair, blue eyed. My mama said, get out of my house with all that foolishness. Don't be poisoning your brother's mind with that. And that's the problem. It takes you into the next thing. Where does an 18-year-old boy become a mass murderer? It's something that they learn in a house. It's something that they learn in a home because their parents didn't have the common sense to say, no, not all white people are bad. Not all black people are good. Not all black people are lazy. Not all, there are no absolutes. You accept people based on what they show you. But when they show you who they are, believe it. My mama said to me, she says, son, you know better than nobody else, but you know less than either. It's okay to bring your friends up, but you don't let nobody drag you down. See, we have 18-year-old boys that don't have that kind of what's called home training. And I said this before, long before my mama had, let me back up. Long before there was an internet, my mama had a network. My mama had a list of women, many of whom I did not know. I'd be acting up and I would hear, Henry. Now you know your mama would, you don't know me. And when they would call my mom by my first name, by her first name, I had to straighten up and fly right. And before I could get home, the phone call was already made. And my mom was standing on the front porch. And I had to explain myself. Ma, see what had happened with, no. Get your behind in there. And see what was crazy is my mom's, I told you, Miss Bush bust my behind once. The last time I caught a whipping from my mom was a right in the chest. Because you can't believe in God and not believe in the devil. Something told me one day that you too old for whipping, so you need to tell your mom. I said, yeah. I went in and started getting on my mom's nerves. And she said, boy, look, I'm about 2 minutes off your behind. I said, now that we having this conversation, I need to tell you something. Who you talking to? I was trying to say, ain't but two people standing here. My mom's. Richard Pryor said his dad hit him so hard, my chest right on his fist. My mom hit me and knocked me into the cedar road. And she said, you want to be a man? Get up. I'm going to treat you like a man. I said, no, that's okay. I'll just stay right here. I'm fine. She said, damn it, boy. You made me break my shiffer robe. Because that's what old people call a cedar robe. A shiffer robe. See, we have 18-year-old murderers because there is no home training. There is no community to teach a kid better. When the elected officials are spewing hate, when the president of the United States is supporting extremists, we call them in any other country, we call them extremists and terrorists. When the president of the United States referred to them as patriots, when the members of Congress shield those who try to take over the government in this ongoing coup, it gave carte blanche to these young people who know no better. And to add insult to injury, we got the blind leading the blind. So the George Washington Carver I grew up in, I graduated from, the New Orleans that I lived in, that raised me, it doesn't exist anymore. That's all I got to say about that. Part of the problem, my segue, my transition for this is America is the woman that I love who never loved me back. All of us have tried to love somebody. And no matter what we did, that person did not appreciate the love that we showed them. So they couldn't love us back. And that has always been the conundrum. It has always been this relationship, this strained relationship with this country called America. So my ancestors that were Native Americans, indigenous people, they started calling them Indians. Columbus, here, okay, here's our quick history lesson for the night. Columbus made 4 trips to the New World, Central and South America. Columbus never set foot on North America. The people he saw, he called the dark ones. They referred to them in Portuguese and Spanish as Indios, which means war with God. Indios was later transformed to Indians or Indians. So we had the Aztecs down in South America. We had the Mayans, and then we had those people in North America, Central and North America. So when the Mayflower landed on Plymouth Rock, it referred to the Native Americans as Indians. One people. They didn't say Iroquois. They didn't say Crow. They didn't say Comanche or Cherokee. They said Indian. And ever since, America has been taking. So it's hard to acknowledge someone that you steal from. That's why America has this relationship with me. And this is why I'm wearing this t-shirt. Because last weekend I had the audacity by myself sitting in my media room watching the TV of watching the Vietnam in HD because I'm a history buff. And the thing that insulted me is I'm a Marine. I entered the military in 1979. A lot of the people that trained me, and one person in particular, LeBaron E. Chapman. This man was a real Rambo. This man he did the things that you see on TV for real. This man had 3 tours of Vietnam. 2 of them were voluntary. His job, when you look at these movies, they always talk about the tunnels. His job was carrying a 45 and a K-bar, a knife. And they flushed out the Viet Cong by chasing them through these tunnels. Because these tunnels were an intricate network where the Viet Cong could pop up anywhere, pop off a few shots, and disappear. So they start flushing them out and they start blowing up these tunnels. So when I'm watching Vietnam in HD, and I'm seeing all these white men who are talking, and this is not a race thing. I'm seeing all of these people that are being recognized. And I said, well, I understand why my brother became the person that he did. Because as he said, when he was in Vietnam, he didn't see any Rambos, he saw Sambos. Sambos, black folks. They were the ones who they said N-word, charge that hill. And then I saw the original footage from this hill that Uncle Sam just decided they just had to have. And there were so many people that lost their lives there that they called it a meat grinder. And the nickname was given to it Hamburger Hill. And I saw a sputtering of black faces in the crowd. And I said, I spent my time in the Marine Corps. I didn't get along with a lot of people because you can't just tell me to charge a hill. You tell me to take out the bunker, I'm gonna figure out how to take out the bunker. But I'm not just gonna charge into oncoming machine gun fire while you're sitting in the rear. No. I employ this thing called a brain. How do we eliminate the enemy without me losing my life? And then I saw this on TV, and I say, where are we represented? Where are the Garcias? Where are the Gutierrez? Where are the Batistas? Where's the LeBaron Chapman? This man's brother went down in Laos, and he told his mom, I'm either going to bring my brother back or we're going to die over there together. And like Hollywood, he traveled from behind enemy lines with his brother, fireman carry, with a bullet in his side. When LeBaron Chapman became a first sergeant, the commandant of the Marine Corps sent him accommodation. The sergeant major of the Marine Corps, which is the top enlisted person in all of the Marine Corps, traveled all the way from Washington, D.C. to 29 Palms, California, to pin Gunny with his first sergeant chevrons. When I was watching the movie with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, Lethal Weapon, I think it was number 3, with Jet Li. And Jet Li does this kick, and he comes around and grabs the guy's head and places it on the ground and put his foot on his chest. You see, in Hollywood, that was choreographed. Just as sure as I'm sitting here, I saw Gunny do that in real life. When some knuckleheads, a fight broke out in the E Club, and the Gunny said, everybody stop. And somebody decided they was going to take a pool cue and they were going to show this N-word. Gunny kicked the pool cue. It went flying. He kicked the boy's head, grabbed the boy's head in the back of his knee, brought him down to the ground and put his foot on his chest and said, nobody move. And I'm standing there like, see, that's the one that I knew about. I heard other stories from others, and I didn't see it represented. So I cut off the TV. So Memorial Day for me has a different meaning. When people say to me, thank you for your service, I say, tell it to my neck and my back that have been permanently impaired. Tell it to my psyche. I used to have a photographic memory. It's easier for me to remember things from 30 years ago than it is from 30 minutes. It's not service, it's a sacrifice. America has always been this woman that can't love us back. That's why when we die, in great numbers. There's these half-hearted condolences. I don't need your condolences. 9 Asian women, 8 or 9 women, I think it was 8, may have been 9, got shot and killed in Atlanta. Within 2 weeks, there was legislation passed for Asian hate crime. Black folks have been lynched, tarred and feathered, burned at the stake, made to walk the plank, and killed in ways too atrocious to even talk about. And we still cannot get a piece of legislation that says when someone kills 2 or more of us, it's a capital murder punishable by the death. That's all I got for you tonight. Do me a favor, go to my YouTube, sign up, ring the bell, leave me some comments, give me some thumbs up. My YouTube, OMITDALOGIC. It's that simple. Put in that word on YouTube, hit search, and you find me. And subscribe. I've got people coming to my YouTube that I don't know. So why don't I have more people that I know coming to my YouTube? As always, I will see you right here next week. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. My name is Hank Batiste. This is OMITDALOGIC. This shit makes no sense. And I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but I got to say this, then I'm going to go. The craziest thing I've seen, and I have to say this, in Orlando, 2 women get into a fight. One of the mothers throws her purse to her daughter, her 10-year-old daughter. Her 10-year-old daughter took a gun out of her mama's purse and shot the other woman and killed her. It's always important. I wish you love. I wish you peace. I like your man. Hair grease. Thank you for tuning in tonight. As always, I love you. Ain't a damn thing you could do about it. I'm out of here, folks. How we go, YouTube? Any problems? Any problems, YouTube? YouTube, are you there? YouTube?